Alright, so I'm over here on this stand for freestyle. Took my axles out, took my stabilizer links off, took this motor mount loose, this nut off of there, took the bolt out of here, took the 4 bolts out of here, and also used one of them, put a jack up under here, used one of them to jack up on this thing. It's going to help me get it out of here. My other axle out. My other stabilizer link off to help me get the axle out. I got one power steering line. I had to take both of them off to get it. It's right here with a wire plugged up to it. Alright, so all that's off. Got one other thing holding it. And that's going to be this motor mount right here. So I'm going to take my little dust cover off with my 210s, take that last nut off, and then I'm going to lift this thing on off. I also had this sensor to unplug for my exhaust O2 sensor. But I think that's going to be it, that last motor mount nut, and then she coming on off here. This thing down here, I had to take this knock sensor off. 10mm to get to that transmission bolt right there, you see? Now I'm just gonna take my wires loose and shit like that from here, and then get my other transmission bolts out. I got a starter to take out. I gotta take this axle out over here. So I gotta take that axle out. Probably a couple bolts. Take this starter off. Just a couple bolts. I got my starter out, 210s, come up through here with extension. I got this ground wire right here I'm going to take off of there. Also had a wire plugged up to this thing. Unplug that. One more plug somewhere. Goes right here. And you're just going to push this. Just like that. Pull it on out of there. And then slide it around here. God damn. Alright. It's gonna be all over it, I think. Yeah, it is. This shit got some extra shit on here. So I'm gonna take this 8 out of here. Should be another one down here. Take them 2 8s, take that off of there. Take them 2 10s out. 13s. These 2 13s, take them out. You got a transmission bolt, I'll take that out. I'll take this transmission bolt out. Take that exhaust bolt out. That's actually the transmission bolt too. Transmission bolt down there in the tuck. I ain't sure how to get that off yet. So I might end up having to take this off. This little fucking EGR valve to get to that one. And you can also see I got this. So looks like I'm gonna take it off right there and right here. And then hopefully that's the only 2 bolts that hold that thing on there. Alright, so I got my 4 bolts out and got that black bracket out. Then I got my 2 bolts out in the motor mount and just come right up out of the hole. There it is. I'm gonna leave it up here. Took my 2 transmission bolts out, so now I got a transmission bolt there. I got one in this little hole I'm gonna just get with a wrench. Can't even show it to you. That one. And then I got this one over here. But before I even get that, I'm gonna come over here and get this fucking axle out of here. So, just gonna take them 2 nuts off and try to slide it out. Alright, so I got all my bolts out of here, including that one in there. You can already see my pin a little bit. I ain't figured out where to hook my motor up yet, but I was going to just separate it a little bit. And it looks like it's going to come on smooth for me. Just like that. So I'm just going to try to get the motor hooked up somewhere over here and jack the motor on up. I will have to pull this out and probably look down in here for a spot. Probably gonna be right here, up in that hole or up in this. Just pull this bolt out right here and use that right there. Alright, so I just got my motor hooked up to my new transmission. Had to line up the torque for the bolts. I had to lock this thing up and do some crazy chaining on here. Exhaust on this side. Right here on this side, on the back of the valve cover. Exhaust. Slip their ass on there together. We got a couple bolts in there. So now I'm just gonna get them things on tight. And switch my chain up, hook it back to the transmission. Alright, so I just hooked my damn knock sensor back up. Oh, bitch, show you. 10mm. Put the cover back on it. Got my transmission bolt back in behind it. Got the one in here. I got one more to put right there. I'm gonna put right there, and then I'm gonna drop this thing up in here. Right here. Motor mount. And it's gonna fit right up in this hole right here. And then I'll put my other bracket on. Alright, so I got my motor mount back in there with the 2 bolts. Also got this bracket with the 4 bolts. Alright, so I got my box up under here, back up under here. I'm gonna go ahead and get my mount. Put it right here, get it lined up. I already got this mount over here lined up. It's gonna be the other one in there. And then this other one, it ain't gonna go in until I get this jack up under it. And I'll take the chain off. I'm just get my nuts started on these other 2 though. So let it down and got 2 motor mounts set. And the hose, the bottom and up in the top. So now I just got my little scissors jack up under here. And I'm letting it down. Just bringing my bolts right to where they need to be. So, got one of them in there. I just probably take a little pry bar and move around a little bit more. Get the rest of them. Alright, so I'm about to go back in with this motherfucker. Walk around, make sure ain't nothing catching. I think I'm gonna take this little cover down real quick, all these 8s. And then I'm gonna have to guide my struts in. I'll pull these down, let them hang. Alright, so I got my cover off of there. Just so it'll be a little bit easier in the front there. I want to make sure I don't catch nothing. So I probably need to go back a little bit. And then I gotta line these struts up. Like I said. Just fall back down for now. Alright, now it's gonna be just a lot of looking around. So I'll just be back with y'all once I'm down at the bottom here. Alright, so our ass is back in there. And I just got my bolts back in the bottom, my 4 bolts, and I'm gonna come back in the morning and start piecing it back together. Alright, so I'm up under here, just tightened up these bolts. Put my drive shaft up, tightened up them bolts. Now I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna get my torque converter bolts, nuts on. My 2 bottom transmission bolts. Tightened up this bolt right here, put that in. Get my bottom antifreeze line, AC line. Put that on, forget it, and transmission lines and shit. Tighten this bitch up. Just get all these little shits done under here real quick. Alright, so I just slid my steering on here. I just put a pry bar right here. Pried it down on there. Bolt back in there. Got my line on here. My line on here. I got my power steering line on over here. Got my thing tightened up. I'm gonna just tighten up my steering bolt. And I'm gonna come on down and get all this brake calipers and shit. Alright, so I also got my torque converter bolts back in. Now I'm gonna go ahead on down and see what else I got. Alright, so I got my brake calipers on and shit, my wheel sensors plugged up. Now I'm jacking up on these jacks, getting my damn struts in. So now I'm gonna tighten them up. And I'm gonna get my computer plugged up over here. Alright, so I'm over here. I'm just gonna get my computer wires. Run them back up in here. Alright, so I got my ground wire hooked up here. I just hooked in a new spot. I got my fuel line right here. I'll run that. Flip that on. Put the stupid little clip back on there. However it goes. Then I'm gonna go ahead and get my power steering reservoir. Go ahead and get this thing back up in here. And it's just gonna slip on right there and then go with these 2 bolts right here. Waiting on this thing. Just go right there on them 2 bolts and then the hose right here. You can get it from under here. Then your other line's gonna be up here in the tuck. I believe this is the antifreeze one. So I'll find the power steering. Here it is right here. Alright, so I got my power steering line on. Got my shit plugged up. This is gonna plug up to the bottom of your antifreeze reservoir. So I'm gonna grab that and I'm gonna grab this washer fluid reservoir and put that up in there too. Alright, so I got my 2 reservoirs in plugged up. I got this hose right here to hook up to it. Alright, put that clamp on there. Also got these 2 wires down here. Plug this one up. And then this other one's just a plug right here. It's an oxygen sensor. Plug them 2 up. Alright, so now I'm gonna come over here. First thing I'm gonna try to do is get my linkage hooked up. So, let's go across there. So it does look like I got some old linkage here, so I'm gonna take that up. Take these 2 bolts up, and then I'll come and I'll put my linkage that I got right here down here. Alright, so I got my linkage on down here. Put it back in park. Hooked it up. Alright, so now I got these 2 wires laying over on this side. They gonna plug in right here. 2 red wire, plug them up. Then they gonna clip on somewhere on one of these things. Alright, then I'm gonna go ahead and get these other wires hooked up. Get my 2 transmission lines on right here. Get my 2 heater core hoses on right here. And they're gonna go over here and over here. So I'm gonna get everything hooked up on this side while my thing is fucking going on now. Alright, so I got all my shit hooked up down here. My heater core hose, other heater core hose, my wire went to here. Put the wire on here. I got a ground wire somewhere that goes up here, it looks like. Put my ground wire up there. I'm gonna put my little box back in here right here because I got my transmission lines on and all that. Alright, go ahead and I got this hose. Just gonna go right here. On there. I got my top radiator hose. Just go right here. Get my clamp on there. Got my little jank right here. I'm gonna go ahead and get my cowl and throw it up here. Throw my wiper blades up there. Alright, so I got my wipers back on the air box. And my cowl. Got one little clip and put right there when I find it. So now I got everything hooked up on here too. Got my ground wire hooked up. I'm gonna go ahead. Looks like I got something missing for here. There it is right here. So I got that going on there. Fucking brake fluid top. Alright, so now I'm coming back in with my air box and my battery. But I'm gonna see my air box first. I think it hooks up into here. Alright, so my air box is gonna sit right there, and then I'm gonna put my other part in here. Alright, so I got my air box back in there. I got that hooked up to it, hooked up right there. Got this hose goes up inside. Got my airflow sensor. My clips on, my bolt in. My air filter is in here. Now I'm gonna get my little box right here for my battery. So my battery box is just gonna basically just sit up in here. So I might have to use both hands and get it up in there. I got my battery box back in there. Now I'm going in with this thing. Load them out. Alright, so I'm gonna get my 4 bolts started right here. 2 over there, 2 over there. Then I get my 1 started right here. Alright, so I got everything done up here. I did a once over. You always do a once over, make sure everything's hooked up right. Now I'm gonna go to the bottom, do a once over. I'm waiting on my battery to charge, and I'm gonna put my wheels on, put my cover on the bottom right here, put my little cover over my damn torque converter bolts, and then that's it, man. Put some fluid in her ass, some antifreeze, some power steering fluid, and some transmission fluid. Now for my transmission fluid, looks like I'm going to have to pull these 4 bolts right back up and do it like that. So I got all my fluids in here and everything ready. It's good to go. Oh yeah. Now I'm just going to let it warm up, check my antifreeze, and check my transmission fluid.